So you say you're very lucky and you're very fortunate. I would call bullshit because I know who you are.
Okay.
You're very strategic, right? So how have you retained talent? What have you learned on the journey?
On the global perspective, there are a lot of tells when you're doing an interview, and so that's really why experience matters. There are employees who like need a job but don't love what they do, and now I have this huge talent company, so I'm a talent guy. I define myself in those three buckets and categories. I would encourage listeners, if you're looking to hire people, you want to hire people into like humans who define themselves with the role that they are,
Yep.
right? And what happens then is like you're aligning life purpose with business kind of goals and
Mhm.
trajectory. And I didn't learn this, it took me a while to learn this. We'd hire somebody, they'd be a massive talent, and then they're like, oh, I'm going to go start my own business. I can't tell you how many real estate people hire an assistant, and then that assistant ends up taking 10 of their agents and moving away.
Yeah.
Even if you do your best job you ever can of taking care of people, like you train your competition and then they go and compete directly with you with your own playbook.
Yep.
And that happens a lot,
Yeah.
it happens a lot. And so just really making sure you understand who you're hiring, if their life purpose aligns with what you need, that they need a job and want a job and they don't want to learn how to do your business. That's a really important thing. And then you're looking for a track record of success. So what's interesting is there are different talent processes and different talent attributes for each style of employee that you need. And we are really good at helping companies navigate those conversations. And that's probably why our competition, even though they can compete with us on price, they can never compete in value or service or experience.
What are from your perspective, what are the advantages and disadvantages of being the CEO and the owner of the business? And do you ever see yourself transitioning out of CEO?
There's a lot of disadvantages to being in the business and the CEO and the founder. I mean, think about it like this. One, you have the control. It's almost like being a king of
Mhm.
your own like kingdom,
Mhm.
right? You have control over everybody's destiny, and so that makes the words that you say a little bit. If you say, "Hey, good job," that means a ton, and if you say, "Hey, this doesn't look good," that also means a ton. So
Yeah.
there's some. That's probably the biggest disadvantage, being the founder and also the CEO. To your second question, I love what I do. I've told everybody, including my leadership team, who at times love having me on the leadership team
Yeah.
and then hate it at also times because one of my special sauces is I just know and feel how it's going to go, and I can tell when something's not right, and even without evidence, which is challenging for some folks. But I've told the team, if we can't grow the company under my leadership, then I'll step out.
Mhm.
And I think that's a really good way to hold yourself accountable when you own something and also are the CEO. The results determine whether or not you stay.
Yeah.
And that makes it very clear to everybody that results are what matter. And that's kind of how I run the business.
It also sets a standard that I'm going to hold you guys to a level, but I'm going to hold myself to that level too.
Yeah.
How does that translate for you into your children? Because you've got some beautiful young kids, and
Mm.
parenting is a totally different journey.
Yeah, parenting is a different journey. I think when you're young, you have a lot of opportunity to kind of implant in them anything you want. And so if anybody's listening right now, you have from like 0 to 6, 7, 8. And I say 6, 7, 8 because I have a 9-year-old who, she's just pulling out of my ability to kind of like
Yeah.
tell her she's beautiful and have her completely believe it,
Yeah.
right? So I think the most important thing is parenting's broken up into three different groups. In the beginning, the 0 to 7, 8, 9, whatever you tell them, they believe. So that's a job. You got to tell them good things. Encouragement, positivity, you're beautiful, let's do this. Let's give it another try. You can make this work. They want to know that you believe in them. And then the middle years, it's your job to be fun. Like, and I'm talking about a dad.
Yeah.
Moms have a completely different job. I would even pretend to understand. Like, it's so funny. My wife is like, it's been so exhausting. I'm like, what do you mean? We've been hanging out with the kids all day. This has been fun,
Yeah.
So it's been we have a completely different experience. But the middle part of childhood, like I would say 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, is just really having as much possible fun and spending time. And then the last part is you have to transition to being a friend and an advisor when they ask. I'm not looking forward to that part because I'm like, here's what you should do.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm enjoying the journey of being a father, and it's tricky because you want the world for them, but they really have to determine what they want, and then you get to support them in their journey.
How do you balance it all? How do you time block? How do you create balance?
I don't have balance. I want to be clear about that. And any CEO who says they have balance, I'm like, okay, well then you're just a peacetime CEO, and as long as the business is fine, you're going to be okay.
Yeah.
I look at myself as a wartime CEO. I like to fix things. I like to grow things. So there's no balance. I do time block. I have a to dominate list. So to dominate separates a to-do list, which most people start with to-dos and then they try to force rank. I try to start with a to-do, force rank, and then dollar assign, which is the definition of dominate. Like, if I do this work, what kind of return will we get? And then I'll put another kind of filter on it. Is there anybody else at the company that could do this? And what are the things that are only for me? Like this conversation.
Yeah.
This is for me.
Right.
And this is my job. I can't ask, somebody else at the company to sit down and hang out with you.
Today on the show, we have a $100 million CEO and founder of MyOutDesk, Daniel Ramsey.
I've been in this business for nearly 20 years, helping companies scale with virtual assistants. I've literally helped 9,000 companies hire virtual assistants. Really, it's labor arbitrage. We have 150-ish employees, and most of them have been there for 10 years.
You used to look up to, I think it was an economics teacher. You thought he was like God, and he basically said you were screwed.
Basically said, Daniel, if your parents are poor, you're going to be poor. And I just, in my head, I was like, that guy. I just remember thinking, I'm going to be well.